So welcome to episode number 33 of Island by Film. Once again, my name is Wes. Today I'm going to be just taking a close look at a new camera that I purchased. It's probably about 2 months since I've bought this camera. Little bit of a story behind the purchase of this camera. I decided to purchase the Rolleicord camera after a little bit of a journey. I used to own the Yashica Mat 124G, and you can see some of my videos in my channel. I really liked that camera. There's a lot of things I liked about it, but you know, when it comes to film photography, sometimes you drift away from some of the things that are the simplest to use and that you love the most. And so I sold that Yashica Mat in order to get myself a Pentax 645. Long story short, the Pentax 645 just did not suit me at all. It just wasn't tactile enough for me. I didn't enjoy the actual user experience of it. Just felt too modern. So I went ahead and sold that Pentax 645 and I wanted to go back to a 6x6 camera. And so, of course, because I've tried the Yashica Mat, I thought, well, I'm going to try something different. And so I decided to go for a Rollie. And in the process of trying to hunt down a Rollie, I considered a Rolleiflex 2.8F. And the price was just too far beyond what I could afford. And so I was able to sell my Pentax 645 kit, sold it for enough that I could buy this Rolleicord, and this Rolleicord is in really, really nice condition. But I wanted to go through some of the setup and features of this camera. This model specifically is the Rolleicord V. And I'm just going to give you a quick look around the camera. That's the one side there. That's the back. The other side. Tripod socket there, the top portion right there. That's your waist level viewfinder. That's the experience that I genuinely miss, is that waist level viewfinder. So a little bit about this camera, maybe as compared to the Yashica Mat, there are some differences for sure, but it's got an f3.5 taking lens and an f3.2 viewing lens. So a slightly brighter lens than the taking lens. Of course, the idea behind that is so that you can actually get a bright image when you're composing and focusing through the viewfinder or the waist level viewfinder up top. But not as bright as the Yashica Mat 124G. So although I would say I like the taking lens better on this camera, I think it's sharper, I think it renders colors nicer. The viewing lens is not as bright. So that's one thing we'll get to a little bit when I start talking about the waist level viewfinder. Some of the simple operations of this camera will kind of start at the top and then just move our way around. This is how you actually cock the shutter right here. So there's no physical shutter button. You cock the shutter this way, and you release the shutter like that. Pretty simple. To this side right here is how you adjust your aperture. So those are your f-stops. Of course, from 3.5 all the way to f16 or f22, I should say. So that's how you adjust that aperture right there. On this side is how you would adjust your shutter speed. So all the way from 500th of a second, all the way down to bulb mode. So let's just take a look at what the sound sounds like on a slower shutter speed. I'm going to cock that shutter so you can actually take a good listen. And if you take a listen here. So yeah, very quiet. That's one of the reasons I think that these cameras are so usable, is they're an incredibly quiet street photography kind of camera. So yeah, I love that about it. Like I was saying right here, that's how you cock the shutter. This right here is how you can lock out the shutter so that you can't advance or you can't fire. Or if you advance and you want to make sure that you don't do a double exposure, because that is maybe a potential problem with this camera, that you can actually lock it out that way in between. So I'm just going to cock it here and I'll show you. So I'll cock it all the way. I'll lock it. And you can fire, but you can't cock it again. Right? So that's just kind of a safety measure there, I think. This right here has to do with the flash sync on the side right here. So haven't used flash with this. Don't really know a ton about that. On the side of the camera, this is your focusing knob. It's nice and smooth. You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to try a Rollie camera, and then I think I've kind of fallen in love with the Rollie line of gear, is the fact that it's German make. It's just it's so precision and it's so well made that you just enjoy using it, and it's just, you feel like you're holding history in your hand. So right here is your focus knob. Of course, you have a focus scale, so you can zone focus if you wished. But the viewfinder, waist level viewfinder, is such a joy to use that I don't think that'll be zone focusing with this camera at all. This is how you advance right here your film after each shot. Now, of course, your film advance counter here would be going forward if I had film loaded in the camera. So I don't currently. So you actually reach a hard stop when you reach the place where you're onto the next frame. So that's handy. The f2.8 version, the Rolleiflex, not the Rolleicord, does have a winding knob or winder on the side, which is it is beautiful. There's no question. Just couldn't afford it. So on the side here, that's the back of the camera. There's a little bit of an exposure guide right here, which is kind of a neat little feature. We'll talk about how this opens up shortly here. This is the side of the camera. These are actually, these knobs are both dedicated to when you're loading and unloading film. So they just allow you to lift up and drop the reel in place. So pretty simple. One of the neat features I like about this camera is how it opens up. You can see right here, it's a pretty simple. This slides open like this. This flips up like this. And then the whole back opens up completely like that. Now I want to show you something really unique about this camera versus others. You can actually flip up these two levers. I don't know if you can see that one there, and you can see there's none on this side. But what happens is you can actually just lift up and you can slide the back right off and put the back to the side. So that actually makes it really, really handy when it comes to loading a roll of film. And honestly, I do this 100% of the time. If I'm going to load a roll of film, I'm gonna make sure that I take the back off. And this loads like most medium format cameras, and there's lots of reviews online. So I'm not going to show you how to load a roll of film in this camera. It's actually fairly simple. It's one of the more simple TLRs, I think, to load. Once you've done it a couple of times, then it's pretty simple. So now to put this back in, I'm going to drop it in the hole there, and then I'm going to lock this latch. Now it can't come off. I'm going to flip it back over, drop that down, slide it and lock it in place. So pretty simple. Now, onto the top of the camera itself. So on the top of the camera itself, you can see this is how you open the waist level viewfinder. Let's see if I can give a little bit of a better view there. You can either do one of two things. You can actually completely flip this down, and then you have what's called a sports finder. Never used the sports finder before. That's just this little hole there. I think that's used in conjunction with zone focusing. And so, yeah, haven't used it yet. Don't know really how it works. But as soon as you flip it like that, that sports finder closes. I'm just gonna show you here. Little flip. Yeah, everything's so precision. But this right here, because I actually have terrible, terrible eyesight, that's your magnifier right there. That actually locks in place if you don't want to use it, and flips up like that when you do want to use it. So you just actually, you just lean forward and you look through there and use this knob right here to advance and this knob right here to focus. Works incredibly, incredibly well. And to be honest, I love focusing with this. The one problem that I would say is that this waist level viewfinder, or the glass in here, the viewing glass, it is just not bright. It's got a tremendous amount of vignetting in it, and so I keep hearing things online about people who have purchased replacement lenses for this, and it's easy to replace. So I'd like to actually replace that Fresnel style lens so that I can actually have a little bit of a brighter focusing image, because as I'm getting older, my eyesight seems to be diminishing more and more. But you know, overall, this camera is just, it's just been a fantastic joy to use. So the camera itself also allows you to quickly take off off the complete top here so that you can replace and access the waist level viewfinder and replace that glass in there if you wished. And that's something I'm likely going to do down the road, and I'll probably leave a review of that when I do so. But overall, this Rolleicord V model, I couldn't be happier with it. I love the condition this thing arrived in, and I just absolutely love the quality that these cameras have. They are just brilliant. One day, if I run into some spare money, I will definitely buy myself an f2.8. So thanks a lot for watching this review. I'm just going to follow this up with a few sample images that I've taken over the past couple of months. Probably shot 4 or 5 rolls through. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks again for watching.